Hey guys, Veteran Outdoorsman here. This isn't going to be a really long one, which it usually isn't my MO. Um, it's going to be a discussion about scent control, why I don't use it. There are a lot of. This is a really polarizing topic. Guys like Dan Infalt, the hunting public, who are highly respected in the hunting community, don't believe in scent control, don't use scent control. They play the wind to their favor and hunt accordingly and have lots of success. Some very big deer. Dan Infalt has killed more big bucks than probably any of us watching this video, unless he decides to watch it. He kills monster bucks on public land just by playing the wind. I have tried. I've never tried a scentlock suit. I've thought that what benefit that it would provide if it works isn't worth the cost. I am not going to spend more than $100 on a set of hunting clothes. Period. It's not going to happen. If you include my code, it might go up to two. Um, in my boot. It, I'm not going to do it. It's just too expensive. I'm a miser. I'm not going to spend $1,000, $1,500 on hunting clothing, and I don't know what a scentlock suit costs. I know they're expensive. I'm going to say a few $100. I'm honestly not sure. And you've got to get the whole system, the pants and the jacket and the head covering and all that stuff. That was my biggest reason. I did use the sprays for a long time. And I'm going to name stuff by name. I'm not sponsored by anybody. This is my personal opinion of the product. I'm not telling you not to buy it. I'm telling you my experience. I've used the Hunter Specialty spray. Now, personally, for humans smelling things, I think it works pretty well. I used to keep a bottle of it in my truck when I smoked, and I would spray out my truck when when a non-smoker was going to ride in my vehicle, and that seemed to work pretty well. Um, so I think this stuff has applications. I just don't think it works really well for deer hunting. I've sprayed the bottoms of my boots, all my clothes, everything, um, with these nonsense sprays. I even Primos had one, and they've had there's a couple different variations of these sprays. You can get them that just are scent free completely, and then you can get them that are supposed to remove your scent and then also add a cover scent like fresh earth or pine or different things. Fresh earth is one that's pretty common. Um, and and I've used them, and if I hunt upwind of a bedding area, the deer smell me and they run off. I mean, it's just that simple. Deer crow, it, and you'll always have deer that come in downwind and just don't seem alarmed for one reason or another. Sometimes I think it's because when you're up in a tree, your scent is blowing over them. Now, with the thermal effects, and as it cools down at night, it's going to go down and go along the ground. You've got more chance of getting busted. Something else you need to think about is scent doesn't dissipate in the wind as much as people think it does, especially in a strong wind. I would rather hunt upwind of a deer in a strong wind than a light wind. In a light wind, it has more of a tendency to kind of spread your scent as it goes. In a strong wind, it carries it faster and in a fairly narrow path, and the deer has to get on that path. You think, oh, that deer's dead downwind of me. But is it, you know, 10 yards to the left of straight downwind? Then it might not smell you. As the wind carries. Calm days, the thermals will kill you. But I've used the sprays. I've used cover scents. The only success I've ever had with any type of a cover scent, and I think it was pure curiosity, and it was always young deer. Older deer I haven't been able to fool. Younger deer, um, I've put doe and heat scent on the bottom of my boots, and I know they say that's a no-no. It was a specific tactic, and it's worked. I would walk down a logging trail with doe and heat scent on my boots and do my best with grunt calls and bleat calls to sound like a buck chasing a doe. And I went about 4 miles down the trail doing this, and then turned back. I shot a 6-pointer with its nose to the trail, looking around for that hot doe. It worked. It was a young deer. Would I have fooled a mature deer like that? I don't think so. But during the rut, things happen. They make mistakes. I mean, I guess it's possible. But a young buck, for sure. Even up to, say, a 3.5-year-old. You probably could fool them doing that. Another instance is I would soak a rag in pure vanilla extract and anise oil. It makes a really potent scent. And then I would hang it downwind of me when I was in a tree, about 8 foot off the ground, just as high as I could reach. And does, fawns, young bucks would come downwind of that, and I'm talking directly downwind, and they would cross that. And they would catch a whiff of the scent and come towards it. And I think it was just a curiosity thing. It's a sweet smell. We know that deer are attracted to sweet smells, like molasses, peanut butter, things like that. And they would come to that. But as far as fooling mature bucks, things like that, never had any luck with that. And a deer can smell multiple things at one time. Like us, you come home, your wife's cooking dinner, and she's got a pot of mashed potatoes on the stove. She's got a pot of green beans next to it. There's a meatloaf in the oven. And it's got ketchup on it and all that stuff. We come in, we don't really smell the green beans, we don't really smell the mashed potatoes, we smell the meatloaf. Whatever the strongest smell is, that's what we smell. With deer, it's not the same thing. People think that using stuff like nose jammer and things like that is the way to go. But a deer will smell the strong smell and the weak smell at the same time. And they can differentiate between the smells. Look it up. There's scientific studies on that. Look it up. And such as you got a cherry cheesecake. If you can smell it at all, because it's cool and hotter smells smell more for us, you'll smell the cherries, or you'll smell the crust, or something like that. They're going to smell the cherries. They're going to smell the sugar. They're going to smell the cinnamon in the crust. They're going to smell the vanilla in the cheesecake, etc., etc., etc. Think about it on the terms of someone that's colorblind versus somebody that's not. You know that colorblind doesn't necessarily mean that they can't see color at all, but they can't differentiate a lot of colors. A lot of colors look the same. Maybe they see kind of a black and white, but some will stand out more than others. But it's a much more mellowed look, like the old sepia kind of pictures, where everything, all the not the black and whites, but the ones where the older pictures where everything kind of looks browned out, versus high vis, and there's brown, there's blue, there's green, there's light green, there's dark green, this green has a hint of blue, etc. That's how a deer smells. So I personally don't use scent control. I do use some scents. I will put deer scent in a spray bottle, and it's a confidence thing for me. I don't have any hardcore evidence that it works, but it's just a confidence thing for me. And when I get in my stand, I'll spray around the surrounding area, hoping that a deer catches or I use a scent wick or something like that, and careful not to touch it, hoping that the deer catches a whiff of another deer and is curious enough to come in close enough for a shot. Now, I was watching an episode of Before the Echo this past Wednesday. Usually they're on Thursdays. This time it was on Wednesday. Dan Infalt's on there. Big buck serial killer. And actually, I say that, I don't remember if it was this one or a previous one. Anyway, he was on an episode. And it might not have been the last one. It might have been the one before. But they brought up scent control. And he said that Mythbusters had done a video on scent control and used a bloodhound, used a dog. I found it. It was a bloodhound to track the person. They gave them an article of their clothing. The dog got the scent, and boom, off they go. They did a control test where it was just the individual. They did in a scent control suit, and the dog actually found them quicker in the scent control suit. And then he mentioned that they'd gotten sued and had to take the episode down and things like that. I did some research. This episode was done back in 2010, I believe. So it's an old episode. But I found a copy of it on YouTube. Now it's the video itself is pretty high quality, but it's one of those where they make the video, I guess it's to get around copyright laws and things like that, where they make the video like the size of a thumbnail. So you've got to you'll have trouble watching it on your phone, but you can certainly listen to everything. I mean, you can see the picture, but it's only going to be about that big on your phone. But you can watch it. I'm going to put a link to that below in the description. And you make the decision for yourself. I've watched it. The dog finds him. The very last thing, now there's stuff going on in the background where they try to fool drug sniffing dogs with dirty diapers and all sorts of things, and that doesn't work either. But the scent control part, as far as as the scent control suit and things like that, was something that I really, really liked. Now next, at the very end, they take a scent control suit. The guy rinses off. He takes a shower. He cleans up. He puts on a suit. They spray him down with all sorts of scent killers. He puts on another suit. They give him a gas mask with an activated charcoal filter so that whatever he breathes out doesn't have scent. Think about that. Then they take his bath water, put it in a backpack sprayer, and he makes a false trail with that. Then ditches everything, the backpack sprayer and all that stuff, and then goes and hides in the woods. The dog follows the trail, follows the false trail, finds the backpack sprayer, then picks up his trail and falls right to him. A deer has a stronger scent organ than a bloodhound by a lot. Look it up. I don't remember the exact numbers, but by a lot. If we can't fool a bloodhound, you're not going to fool a deer. If a deer, if you're in the vicinity of a deer has the ability to smell you. It's that simple. Now, deer can differentiate between old scent and new scent. And I think sometimes some of the sprays can possibly weaken the scent enough to make a deer think it's older scent, but I wouldn't rely on that. Hunt the wind. You're setting up on a bedding area, you're sitting up on a food plot, you're sitting up on a trail. Hunt downwind of that if you don't want to get scented. I mean, it's that simple. Your thermals will kill you, though. Thermals are predictable, and you carry milkweed, and you can figure out how if they're dropping or rising or whatever. But I thought it was really interesting. I'm going to put a link below to that video. And I would encourage you to watch it. You don't have to watch the stuff with Grant and the other ones. Watch the ones with Jamie as they're going through with the scent-free suits and all that stuff. And I think it's going to change your opinion on scent lock. Now, there's going to be guys out there, die-hard guys like Eberhard and whatnot, and they're going to say they didn't prepare it right. They didn't. These guys' job is to use things to see if they work. They did their research. Okay? So, get out there and enjoy your fall hunting. But maybe save some money on your scent control. God bless y'all. We'll see you next time.